His second appearance here as head of state, but his first since the passing of his controversial predecessor, former President Robert Mugabe, who was well known in these halls for fiery speeches that would often see Western diplomats stage a walkout.
Zimbabwe is in transition and determined to overcome the reality that we were a collapsed economy with a collapsed currency due to the illegal economic sanctions imposed on our country. Since I took over the leadership of Zimbabwe, much has been accomplished with indicative recovery, stabilization and growth. Immense progress towards macroeconomic and fiscal stabilization, as well as high-impact projects that pave the way for private sector-led growth have been achieved.
He told the Assembly that there was a recognition in his government that the people of Zimbabwe deserved better and that they were committed to delivering. According to Mnangagwa, embedded in those aspirations was a strong sense of urgency to eradicate poverty, achieve quality and relevant education, create employment for women and youth, while mitigating the cross-cutting impacts of climate change, and on re-engaging with the rest of the world. He said their arms remained outstretched with a heart of friendship and cooperation to all those willing to accompany Zimbabwe on what he referred to as an exciting journey of rebirth. He said far-reaching reforms were being implemented by his government, including an anti-corruption drive and the deepening of the rule of law that recognizes the desire to open up the democratic space.
Furthermore, the fiscal austerity and discipline has resulted in balanced books and a budget surplus, which is unprecedented in my country. The impact of change and reforms on the generality of our people take time, but we are in the right direction. We shall continue to put in place social safety nets to cushion the lower strata and the most vulnerable members of our society and appeal for further multilateral support in this regard. These achievements are in spite of the continued albatross of the illegal economic sanctions.
In renewing sanctions for 1 year in May, US President Donald Trump said the actions and policies of certain members of the government of Zimbabwe and others continue to pose an unusual and extraordinary threat to the foreign policy of the United States. The State Department in February issued a stinging rebuke of the actions of Zimbabwe's security forces against protesters, the use of violence against civil society, and restrictions on the internet. Sherwin Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.